From your perspective, obviously, TikTok is an evolving platform, but right now, what is the key to a successful brand activation on TikTok?
I mean, that's an expansive question, but it's actually pretty simple to answer. I think it's we've been really impressed by how brands have brought themselves to our platform, not only embracing the full screen and sound on experience, but it's just the format which TikTok gives you, which is a joyful tone, which encourages authenticity and creativity and no judgment. And it's just understanding our community has a human or humanity to it. So people need to be seen and heard and understood, which we think doesn't really exist elsewhere. So brands that are utilizing the platform to its full potential are the ones that are making the most of that, right? That they are telling rich stories, they're offering new ways of engagement, they understand our community, understand that they are equally welcome on our platform as much as creators, and they aren't a separate component of brand experience. So understanding how brands and people are using our platform and integrating into that is really important, and really embedded into that experience. And the way that people interact with brands on TikTok actually is unlike anywhere else. So a brand can launch a campaign on the platform, and the user community will be inspired and compelled by that campaign. They will create their own commercials, essentially off the base of the original assets, the brand assets. We call those hashtag challenges. And they have the opportunity to be deeply engaged with the community to allow users to build alongside them. And that's what we think is really interesting from a brand's perspective, and why they've been really successful. A couple of examples of people that have been really successful there are Beats by Dre. They did a hashtag challenge called hashtag Beats Daisy Challenge, which was a combination of Beats by Dre and Anishko. And they got around 10 billion views of the hashtag because they embodied everything that the TikTok platform gives them. It was creativity, it was community, it was culture, it was a branded hashtag, it was music, it was creators. They used Abbey Artistry and Perry Kiley, and all of these things which we think exists on TikTok but doesn't really exist elsewhere. Successful brands can take hold of. The second example, I think, would be very recently is ASOS, where they did an ASOS challenge. And it's their first branded content or their branded presence on our platform. And they utilized 25 leading creators to deliver an experience for both across the UK and the US. And they used, again, a fun bespoke music track and an interactive augmented reality experience. And they drove around 1.8 billion views of videos, and you'll probably see a case study coming out very soon in terms of what that drove. But all of these things, the brands that are really successful, the ones that really understand our platform, really understand the creativity, really understand the community, and are able to bring those all together in a really compelling way.
But one of the big trends we've been seeing over the sort of last 12 to 18 months is around shoppable media. It's certainly a theme that we're seeing coming through with our the survey that we've put out into the market over the last few weeks. How is that playing out on TikTok? That sort of ability to kind of really crunch the purchase funnel and go from content to purchase really quickly.
There's lots to talk about TikTok crunching the purchase funnel. I talk about TikTok being this discovery platform, right? So in a way that you open up the app and you don't really know what you're going to get, and you open up the app and you're just getting this experience and you're getting involved in things, and ultimately I think it will lead to people taking decisions, and that can be purchase decisions off the back of their engagement in a very, very short way. If we take the question, which is about shoppable, it's definitely an area which we're wanting to help brands drive real business results, and we're already seeing brands starting to see some examples of that. So we saw Balenciaga utilizing our top view format, which is the first format you get when you open up the app, just to drive people to their shopping pages. So whilst it isn't an immediate in-app purchase experience, it's about activating, encouraging users to see what Balenciaga had in terms of their products, and being able to get them to drive from the TikTok app to their shoppable page and then make a purchase there. So again, that's the what we talk about, what I talk about in terms of discovery and activation. So getting people to discover new things and deliver on that in the real in real time. They saw a combination of about 25 million video views, and they had 4.5 million clicks onto that landing page. The other example is a company by two friends called Barbara and Sharon, and they're a Parisian fashion-based brand. It's made for women by women, and they launched a new collaboration with Reebok. They chose TikTok to raise awareness and drive fashion-conscious digital natives to discover the collection, and they used a number of ad solutions in order to drive people to their stores, to their online stores. And that generated about 100,000 clicks on an e-commerce landing page, and it reached about 5 million users.
There's a lot of debate continually in the industry and the whole brand versus performance thing. What's the right ratio? It just feels like there's kind of something happening at the moment with platforms like TikTok, where it's actually becoming quite hard to see where the line is. I don't know what your opinion is on this.
It's quite, in terms of the line. So for instance, our top view. So we've got our top view product, which most people would say is a branded proposition. But if you put an app install ad in that, where basically you are exposing your ad to many different people, on a big range of people on the single day, but actually it's a conversion ad, that's a conversion experience, right? It's a branded, supposedly branded format, but it's actually been using for performance purposes. And app install ads full stop are that, right? It's being able to drive awareness of something and get people to really deliver on that in real time. There's definitely a blurring of lines between a brand and performance. So I think if you look at DTC ads, like direct to consumer ads, where people may buy those ads without by just seeing the ad for the first time. As long as you can make an ad which makes people, one, aware of it, two, it could be targeted, knowing that you're in the target audience or in the right mindset for it. Three, give them a really easy way to click and fulfill that order. And four, at some point, have easy way to pay for it. All of a sudden, that funnel becomes very, very quick because you're exposed to one ad.
On the issue of sort of customer relationships and customer data, obviously one of the big topics we've got coming up next year is, I suppose the demise of the cookie as a traditional sort of way of targeting customers online, and obviously we've seen a real kind of rise in privacy legislation. In terms of that kind of audience targeting, I mean, what's TikTok's position on it?
There's two things. Firstly, we have to ensure that people understand or are in control of the data that they share with and on TikTok. And secondly, we need to make sure that we protect users' privacy and security, because we want to build a platform that inspires creativity and brings joy, and that means it has to build trust. So there's no higher priority for us than promoting a safe and secure app experience for our users. And in terms of safeguarding and transparency in our industry, we want to be setting that bar really, really highly.
One of the big things that marketers are really trying to grapple with now is the big change potentially in consumer behaviour. I mean, we have obviously seen a huge amount happen since March as a result of COVID, some of which potentially is temporary, some of which is potentially permanent. I don't know what trends you're seeing in consumer behaviour from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an extraordinary year, right? But it's also been extraordinary for our platform, and particularly in Europe, we've seen people embracing TikTok I mean, the platform was growing before, but it's grown like it hasn't been since the start of lockdown. So we now have more than 100 million people across the region that are using TikTok every month. And what we've seen is that TikTok has been seen as this home for positive creative expression, where it's about joyful entertainment, authenticity, and relatability, and truly diverse. But we've definitely seen a change in the usage and the perception of the platform. So when we talked about driving creativity and joy pre-lockdown, it probably meant one thing, and it was still about joyful entertainment, but it was about lip syncing and dancing, and that was all great, and it's still a really important part of the fabric of our app. But we've definitely seen this humanity, authenticity, and relatability in our content that has changed over the course of lockdown, where people are coming to TikTok for those stories, for activism. Families are being brought together and consuming and creating content. So we're actually not only we seeing a diversification of the content and the look and feel of the content on our platform, but we see the diversification of the age and gender of people on our platform. People are turning to TikTok not just for entertainment; they're coming to learn something new and to acquire new skills, to be inspired to do things that they haven't done before. I talked about activism, so we're now seeing a generation of outspoken, socially active, empathetic individuals that are using TikTok to tell their story and inspire people. I mean, as well as COVID, there's been a load of other social change that's happened, or social elements or social activity that's happened within society that is being reflected on TikTok and being handled and expressed on TikTok.
I'd like to dwell on the activism angle there, because obviously, we've seen a huge year in terms of change in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement, in terms of the social justice campaign in the US. And I am interested to know how that, you've mentioned about how that affects TikTok as a content platform, but also potentially how it affects TikTok as an advertising platform as well.
Yeah, so as an activism platform, we believe that TikTok has become one of the leading destinations for that. It provides users with a window into the Black Lives Matter movement, as we've seen around the world, and people are leveraging the platform to tell their stories and be proactive, and to encourage people to protest and to march, and really provide a support function for users that are being impacted and affected by what's happening in the Black Lives Matter movement. Some of the things that we've done to support that is that we've set aside $3 million from our COVID-19 relief fund for not-for-profits to help the Black community who have been disproportionately affected because of all this in terms of health and economic impact. And we're committing $1 million towards fighting racial injustice and inequality. We very much see that TikTok is a really powerful way that people want to get involved in those movements. And so brands need to understand that, right? They need to understand our community. They need to understand that there is a really powerful, active base of people that if you are getting involved in some of these initiatives, then brands should also understand how they can play a role in that as well. They're not just a passive audience that are there to receive messages and want to be don't want to be advertised to. They want to get involved in things that are meaningful for them, and they want to become active, and they will get involved and get engaged in things that are meaningful to them. So as a brand or an advertiser, it's just thinking about how can we activate and be part of this really powerful community of TikTok users around the globe.
And finally, then, going into 2021, if I had to put you on the spot, what trends do you think we might see from a consumer behaviour perspective, from the way that marketing is carried out, all of that stuff?
Well, it's yet to be played. It's yet to be played out, but I think we can tell that socially and economically next year is going to present entirely new challenges in light of what we've experienced this year, and there's going to be a new reality for marketers. I think we're going to have to see how companies communicate and find new and creative ways to build affinities with the audiences, and how they evolve and move on their business models. So it's definitely going to require a massive collective mind shift in the old way of doing things is not going to be successful going forwards. We've experienced a lot this year. There can be industries that have changed, people are going to change, social conditions are going to have changed, and taking old concepts or age-old concepts and applying them to advertising is not going to work, right? We're going to have an extra level of authenticity, of personality, of support. We're going to have to understand that people are very much in a different place. We've also seen, particularly from TikTok, it's just the power of creators. That creators are going to become more central to how consumers engage with things and find out about things. They're already important. Now they're just going to be increasingly more important going forwards. Entertainment brands are going to have to tell stories in very, very different ways. We're going to have to see more diverse content and more diversity throughout everything in terms of the the content and the people that are telling those stories. And everything's going to be seen in a different lens. I think if you look at sports, you're going to want to see different view of players, how they train, what their lives are, learning, online learning. I mean, there's so many things that are going to be impacted this year that are going to mean that we have to think about every vertical and every business objective next year in a very, very different way. So hopefully we can all do that together.